Early Start New Family Orientation. I want to welcome you to our presentation. Although this is a recorded session, you may have additional questions for us. Whether they are general questions or specific questions about your child and your family, you can contact your service coordinator, who will assist you with any questions you may have. Please feel free to reach out to us anytime. Today, we will review California's Early Start program and what is an Individualized Family Service Plan, or an IFSP. We will review the role of the service coordinator, the parent, and the service provider. We will review what happens as your child approaches age 3 and what happens after age 3. Our community partner, Family Focus Resource Center, will discuss their agency. Towards the end, we will have some resources that we will provide to you. There will be links to videos and other resources throughout the presentation. There are 2 laws that govern the Early Start program. The first is federal IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The section that applies to Early Start is Part C. Early Start is special education for 0 to 3-year-olds. The federal oversight is through U.S. Department of Education and the Office of Special Education Programs. California's state law is the California Early Intervention Services Act. The state oversight of the Early Start program through the regional centers is the Department of Developmental Services, or DDS. There are additional program requirements you will need to know. Per federal and state law, the Early Start program ends on a child's 3rd birthday. There is also an annual fee for ongoing services, but this is currently waived by the state. We do require the use of private health insurance for medical services, such as occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, and behavioral services. We will review these insurance documents with you to determine what is covered. Co-payment, co-insurance, and deductible reimbursement is available if requirements are met, such as using an in-network provider and cost effectiveness. We do not review income for these insurance reimbursements for children under age 3. There are 3 categories of eligibility for Early Start: developmental delay, high risk, and established risk. The developmental delay category is due to a delay in at least one area or domain. We will need a developmental evaluation for all children to determine level of functioning in all areas of development. For high risk and established risk eligibility, we will need medical records. We will review developmental evaluations during this presentation. In the first category of delay, there are 6 areas of development that we assess: cognition, motor, expressive communication, receptive communication, social emotional, and adaptive, which are self-help skills. There needs to be a 25% delay in any one area for a child to be eligible under delay. Regarding motor, we will assess fine motor, which are the smaller muscles, and gross motor, which are the larger muscles. Expressive language is the verbal and nonverbal way a child communicates. Receptive language is the understanding of language that is spoken to them. Also, please note that behaviors and milestones that a child exhibits are in a range and can vary. The second category of eligibility is high risk. This is not a full list of medical criteria, just some examples. Most of our babies with medical conditions are referred from birth hospitals, NICUs, which are the neonatal intensive care units, or from pediatricians. Some high-risk factors include extreme prematurity and birth weight less than 1,500 grams, assisted ventilation for 48 hours or longer in the first 28 days of life, or non-febrile seizures during the first 3 years of life. The third category of eligibility is established risk, which is a condition of known etiology with a high probability of leading to a developmental delay, such as Down syndrome. Not all, but some established risk conditions are eligible under the Lanterman Act at birth. Down syndrome is one example. Your service coordinator will let you know which category your child qualified for eligibility. The goals of Early Start are to minimize any delays in development as early as possible. With Early Start services, we want to close the gap as children enter the school age system at age 3, reducing the need for special education services. We want to maximize a child's potential to live independently as an adult and to maximize the ability of families to meet their child's special needs. First 5 LA reports that 90% of a baby's brain is developed by age 5. That is one reason why earlier is better. We will assess in all areas of development and in any additional area of need. An evaluation includes input from many sources. The assessment tools are standardized so we can obtain standardized scores for developmental levels. It includes clinical input from their therapist, as well as parent report, since parents are truly the experts in your child. It also includes medical records from the child's treating physicians. In determining eligibility and assessing needs, here are some examples of evaluations that we may complete. We are determining what a child can do, their strengths, and what a child cannot do, their needs. It will determine the current age equivalent based on the skills that they can perform. We all know that children don't perform on demand, so that is why parent report is also a very important part of this assessment. We want to get an accurate picture of your child. Different specialists conduct different evaluations and assessments. These type of evaluations are developmental evaluations conducted by a child development specialist, speech evaluations conducted by a speech therapist, physical therapy evaluations conducted by a physical therapist, and occupational therapy evaluations conducted by an occupational therapist. Feeding evaluations and sensory evaluations are also conducted by an occupational therapist. Once we receive the evaluations and assessments back, eligibility is determined by a team, which includes a review of the developmental evaluations, medical records, and any other needed records. The review is conducted by our board-certified pediatric specialists at North LA. Once your child has been determined eligible, you will have an IFSP, an Individualized Family Service Plan. An IFSP is a written plan for providing early intervention services to an infant or toddler and their families who have been determined eligible. The IFSP is developed with the family to address their priorities, concerns, your child's developmental strengths, needs, goals, and early intervention services. You can invite anyone you'd like to your child's IFSP. An IFSP is a conversation about your child. We want to get a full picture. What are their everyday routines? Who do they spend time with? What are your concerns about their development? An IFSP is also based on the reports from the therapists, and then we create goals together. Based on those goals, we come up with the right services to meet your child's needs. Early Start services are to meet the unique needs of your child. Just because children have the same delay does not mean they learn skills or generalize them in the same way. Each child is unique, and the services provided may be different from one child to another. We also consider location. We consider the frequency and the duration. Together, we determine the appropriate service delivery for your child. Early Start services are agreed upon in the IFSP and are provided in the natural environment, unless there is a justification identified in the IFSP. A natural environment is a set that is natural or typical for a same age child without a disability. It may include the home or a community setting, such as daycare or a park, a library, a parent and me class, the grocery store, or a grandparent's house. Children learn best in the environment where they spend most of their time. When services are provided in the natural environment, it increases the likelihood that a child will practice the skill more often and then be able to generalize it to other locations. The types of services that may be available to your child in Early Start could be a child development specialist who works on all areas of development. For example, your child may have a gross motor delay, but physical therapy may not be appropriate, or a child who is pre-linguistic, meaning they are not of an age where they would typically have developed words yet. That child may be delayed in the area of communication, but a speech therapist may not be appropriate yet. A child development specialist is trained in early childhood development to build skills in all areas. Speech therapy is for children who are at an age where expressive language would be appropriate, but they are not yet using words at a level where they should. If a child is walking but not running or alternating feet to go up and down the stairs, that would not necessarily be a physical therapist who would provide therapy to meet those goals. A child development specialist would work on that. But if a child has muscle tone concerns or muscle weakness that is causing them to not sit or crawl or walk, then a physical therapist may be needed. Occupational therapy has many roles. An occupational therapist can work on fine motor, using the small muscles for picking up objects or holding an object. But an OT can also work on sensory concerns, such as when a child can get overstimulated and needs help to self-calm within the appropriate amount of time. Feeding therapy may be needed, and OT provides that service as well. Parenting supports are to assist the parent with helping their child generalize the skills they are learning. This support provides guidance on how to handle certain behaviors of your child that can interfere with learning. And behavioral services are services that are more intensive or more frequent than a child development or parenting support. Sometimes a child or a family can benefit from applied behavioral analysis, or ABA. An IFSP review must take place every 6 months to assess, evaluate, and measure your child's developmental progress. New IFSP outcomes or goals and services may change as your child's needs change. An IFSP review may occur more frequently if there are changes to the IFSP prior to your next 6-month review. A service coordinator's role is to develop the IFSP with you to identify desired outcomes for your child and family based on individual assessed needs and family concerns and priorities. They coordinate services needed to achieve the desired outcomes. They monitor the implementation of the IFSP up until the 3rd birthday. Service coordinators advocate for services from schools and other agencies and organizations as appropriate. Since the regional center is the payer of last resort, a service coordinator will review with you the generic and private resources to implement required early intervention services. As the parent, your role is critical. You are the most important member in the IFSP team. Your IFSP is developed based on your family's concerns, priorities, and desired outcomes for your child. Early Start is an educational program and follows a teach the teacher model. You are your child's primary teacher. Service providers are part of your IFSP team and are responsible to directly support, teach, and coach you on how to help your child grow, learn, and gain new skills. But it is you who practices these skills with your child in their everyday routines to support their growth and development. Direct parent participation is more than essential, it is required. Therapy will look different each time. A therapist may be modeling something new for you, or they may be observing you reinforcing a particular skill with your child. There may be homework that the therapist gives you to work on with your child during the week. What is learned in the therapy session must be reinforced by parents throughout the week if progress is going to be made at a faster pace. A child develops their skills not just from the therapy session, but because they get to practice all week long what they learned in therapy. This link is to a video regarding social emotional development. Social emotional development is the ability to experience and express feelings, form relationships, and explore the world. Social emotional development is the foundation for all other learning. We want our children to show emotion in healthy ways, handle conflict peacefully, and bounce back from that conflict. We want them to make friends, follow rules, and enjoy the company of others. For a child, this starts with the relationship that they have with their parents and caregivers. Positive relationships change a child's brain for the better. We want our children to feel safe, secure, nurtured, and loved. This is how they grow and learn. Your therapist will provide direct instruction to you in order to support, teach, and coach you on how to help your child. They will provide useful information on how to help your child learn new skills, get along with other children, communicate with others, and move around their environment. They will show you how to include your child in daily family activities and routines. They will ensure that you are successfully able to apply the specialized instruction and techniques when your therapist is not present, so that you can practice with your child. They will work with you to help you know when your child is making progress. These links are to videos of some therapy sessions. Share your child's IFSP and developmental progress reports with your child's pediatrician and/or medical specialists at your next appointment. With your consent, your medical team may participate with IFSP planning by providing clinical assessments and information about a child's healthcare status, hearing, vision, and development. By sharing concerns regarding your child's medical condition, limitations, medications, or family dynamics. By communicating major changes in medical services or health conditions that may have an impact regarding services provided by early intervention therapists. By providing information about your child's progress on health-related outcomes included in the IFSP. When your child is approximately 2 years, 6 months old, you will be invited by your service coordinator to a transition IFSP meeting with a school district representative. At the meeting, you will have an opportunity to learn about school district preschool services and their eligibility and assessment process for special education, to discuss concerns regarding your child's development, educational, and medical needs as your child transitions from early start to preschool, if eligible, to make changes to your child's IFSP to assist with transition planning and prepare him or her for preschool services, and to review resources to help you prepare for your child's transition into preschool services. At 2 years, 9 months, your service coordinator will refer your child to your local school district for special education. The district will conduct assessments to determine if your child is eligible for special education. If eligible, your child will receive an individualized education plan, an IEP, which may include services at the school site. These programs are preschool programs, typically located at an elementary school at your local school district. At 2 years, 9 months, with your consent, your child may be referred to our clinical department for a psychological evaluation and a medical review to determine eligibility for services under the Lanterman Act. To be eligible, your child must have a developmental disability that is also substantially handicapping that affects 3 or more areas of life. The developmental disabilities for eligibility are intellectual disability, autism spectrum disorder, epilepsy, cerebral palsy, and category 5, which is a disabling condition found to be closely related to an intellectual disability or requires treatment similar of individuals with an intellectual disability. If your child is eligible under the Lanterman Act for ongoing regional center services, your child will be assigned a school-age service coordinator at age 3 to conduct an IPP, an individual program plan, and assist with ongoing needs. A different program your child may be eligible for at age 3 is the Provisional Eligibility Program. It is for children aged 3 up to their 5th birthday. If your child has a disability, one that is not a developmental disability and is not solely physical in nature, but does have significant delays in at least 2 areas of major life activity. These areas of major life are self-care, receptive and expressive language, learning, mobility, and self-direction. Services under the Provisional Eligibility Program will end when a child turns 5 years of age, unless a substantially handicapping developmental disability is diagnosed. Children will be reassessed prior to age 5 to determine if they meet criteria under the Lanterman Act with a developmental disability. If so, they will be transferred to the school age unit for ongoing regional center services under the Lanterman Act at that time. It is important to know that Provisional Eligibility Program is not an extension of Early Start.
Hello, my name is Jen Burns and I work for the Family Focus Resource Center. We provide support services to people in the North Los Angeles County Regional Center area. What makes Family Focus Resource Center different is that our staff are parents of kids who are part of Early Start, just like you. So when you talk to us, you're talking to someone who has walked a very similar path to yours. We understand the parent's perspective. Now we get to give back by helping parents of Early Start kids. We have offices in all 3 of the regional center locations, Chatsworth, Santa Clarita, and Lancaster. You can come into one of our offices or we can talk to you on the phone or on Zoom. Our services are free and include parent-to-parent support and workshops on different topics like speech and language, potty training, and so on. If you miss a workshop, you can always watch it later on our YouTube channel. In addition, we have lots of resources and referrals. If you're looking for fun things to do with your toddler or resources like food pantries or diapers, we can give you some great ideas. We have lending libraries in our offices with books and toys. And finally, we have 10 support groups, including an Early Start support group. You can find out about all our workshops and support groups on our calendar. The time when your child transitions from Early Start to school district services can be scary. One of our activities is IEP training. We have workshops on Zoom every month on the IEP process and can help get you ready for your child's first IEP. We also have a free IEP notebook we can send you. Here's how to get in touch with us. You can call one of our offices or you can visit our website to check out our schedule of events or scan our QR codes. We hope to hear from you soon.
Some resources available to you are the following links: our website at North LA, Family Focus Resource Center, and DDS. Here are some additional links to other resources. Learn the Signs, Act Early is a downloadable document that describes milestones at certain ages. It also has a list of things you can do with your baby or toddler to help them grow and learn. 0 to 3 and First 5 LA are great websites. And DDS has a downloadable frequently asked questions about Early Start. Thank you for watching our presentation about the Early Start program. Please feel free to reach out to your service coordinator anytime with questions that you may have.